Hello my dear friends, and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara, and today we're going to be looking at Pluto in the 6th house. So this video is for you if you have this particular placement. If you're a cross watcher, welcome as well. This video might also resonate with people who have Scorpio in their 6th house as well. So Pluto in our natal charts deals with change, transformation, death and rebirth, power and control. Usually some form of catharsis takes place or traumatic event when it's going through that particular house. You guys go through something, what I see as a pendulum swing. You guys go through the extreme of this energy into that energy and like catharsis and change and like all this intensity and turmoil. And eventually you guys are going to find yourself somewhere in the middle after you guys have undergone this huge change and transformation. Pluto also deals with power in the sense where it's like when you guys are younger, you guys might feel powerless in this particular area. So as you guys grow and go through the Plutonian scorpionic change and transformation, eventually when you guys get into that Phoenix rising state, you guys now have the power in this particular area. You guys are aware of your power. You guys know how to handle your power in this particular area. Pluto also does deal with sex, sexuality, anything that's really hidden and taboo in society. It's also your unconscious fears, sometimes unconscious desires. It could go into the extreme shadow of Pluto as well, whatever house you guys have it going through in terms of having intense fears in this particular area as well. So the 6th house is the health, healing, and being of service house. So when you guys have Pluto going through that 6th house, a lot of change and transformation is taking place for you guys through 6th house types of things. Now, also what I want to say for Pluto as well is that Pluto is a generational planet. So it's like through the house that it's going through, you guys are going through the change for yourselves, potentially also for the ancestral line, the generational line. You're also changing and transforming that particular part of the generation. And then overall, you go through this change and transformation for the collective as well. So for you guys, Pluto going through that 6th house, you're going through intense changes, maybe when it comes to your own health. For example, when you guys were younger, maybe you guys were very energetically sensitive to maybe foods that you guys eat. And then in turn, that 6th house energy can become maybe very even obsessive when Pluto's going through here over what you guys eat, over what you guys put into your body, maybe over certain workout routines and regimes. When you guys have Pluto going through that 6th house, maybe the way that you guys look. The 6th house deals with criticism as well. So maybe when you guys were growing up, someone who exerted their power over you guys, maybe a parent, if it's not a parent, maybe it was a teacher, whoever was maybe in that power dynamic, someone who was your superior, well, maybe this person was super critical of you guys when you guys have Pluto going through that 6th house. And then in turn, what happens is you guys might now become critical of other people, but also more often than not, this energy is highly, highly critical of themselves. So let's say when you guys were growing up, maybe one or both of the parents or whoever was that power superior person above you, maybe they made comments on your appearance. So now you guys are always trying to avoid this energy coming out from other people. So what's interesting with this energy is like Pluto scorpionic energy struggles with the fear of powerlessness. That's why they're always seeking power, okay? That's why Pluto deals with power and control. And then in turn, to avoid feeling powerless, you guys try to control that particular area or environment around you. So for you guys, it's the 6th house. So for you guys, maybe to avoid criticism from other people, to not feel powerless like you guys once did. And this is more so unconscious. This is all happening unconsciously until it's brought to the conscious mind, of course. But for you guys, unconsciously, you guys might constantly be trying to perfect everything around you. Maybe you guys make a video, you guys want to perfect the video. Maybe it's the way that you guys look. It really depends like on the rest of the natal chart. Maybe what area in your lives you guys were criticized in, but you guys kind of go into this like almost hyper vigilant energy. That's the whole thing with like Plutonian scorpionic energy. They become hyper vigilant because they don't want to feel like they once did. That's why Scorpio, a lot of the time, Pluto energy as well deals with paranoias. It deals with fears. It becomes hyper vigilant because the nature of the energy is very much like, how were you able to get one over me? Like, how were you able to like trick me or confuse me or betray me or whatever it is in that particular situation, manipulate me? So then to avoid this, it tries to do everything in its power to avoid that feeling once again. But unfortunately, while it's going through that intense pendulum swing, the more anyone tries to control anything, the more you inadvertently make that thing happen, because it's like, this is what you guys are changing and transforming within yourselves. This is the catharsis that you guys are going through to eventually get to that neutralized point where you're unbothered. That, I would say, is the evolved form of Scorpio. The evolved form of Plutonian energy is when it's unbothered. it's calm, it's just kind of like doing its own thing. And also on top of all of that, it's like now healing. It's now helping other people change and transform. So when you guys have Pluto going through the 6th house, you guys could also be very healing to other people. Maybe you guys went through some form of diet journey or a transformational journey in terms of maybe your physical appearance, maybe going through the gym or discovering some form of new diet that worked for you guys. Well, maybe now you guys are helping other people transform through this particular area as well, as you guys have undergone this change and transformation. But what I will say is that's kind of like the final step, because it's like you guys can look at Pluto as crisis internally, and a lot of the time it's hidden, so people won't expect this about you, people won't think this about you, but internally you guys are at this internal constant crisis, catharsis, change. You're transmuting this energy within, and the energy within that you guys are transmuting is the 6th house, the house of health, healing, and being of service. So another thing also that happens with Plutonian energy is that Pluto doesn't want to appear weak. So we know this already. It's very self-preserving energetically. So while you guys are going through it, you guys might not express this to anybody. Let's say you guys are going through some form of health struggle, or let's say you guys are going through something like where you guys are maybe not feeling good about yourselves and you're trying to perfect yourselves. Like let's say you guys are going through, let's say, a full-blown physical transformational journey. You're going to the gym. I know I'm using this example a lot, but it could be anything in this realm really. So you guys could be going through this journey in secret, in private, and eventually after you guys have overcome this, you guys might go around explaining to people, oh my gosh, this was such a struggle for me. I struggled a lot in this particular area, and people might be surprised. They might be like, wait, what? Like, I didn't even know that about you. You seem fine. Pluto is hiding. They don't want to come off weak, but Pluto is going to talk about it after it's regulated the energy within itself. That's kind of how Pluto scorpionic energy works. So while it's going through it, it kind of goes through it in silence. When it goes through it, it goes through the change. It's going to come out on top. And this is another power and control thing that Pluto does. It doesn't want to come off weak. The energy doesn't want anybody pointing it out to them before they are ready to see it for themselves, because it's kind of like they don't want the other person to have control over them. So for you guys, it's in the 6th house. So once again, maybe it's something to do with your own health. Maybe it's something to do with your appearance. Maybe it's something to do with what you guys are eating. It could also be anything to do with work as well, because the 6th house is also the house of daily routines and your colleagues and your acquaintances at work. Those people that you kind of know, they're not really your friends, but they're more so in like the colleagues category. So for you guys could have a lot of power struggles when it comes to work. For example, you guys might not like people telling you what to do. The Plutonian energy, scorpionic energy, has a huge ego, is really what that is. So ultimately this energy eventually might want to maybe work for themselves, or they might need a lot of freedom in their job. They can't have like a micromanager. You guys might find yourselves quitting these types of jobs like very, very fast if someone is trying to control you guys, because this is the whole thing. It's like you guys want to be in control, but you guys don't want anyone to control you. Okay, so that's like the whole power struggle here. It's power and control. Now with that being said, with the Pluto in the 6th house energy, another common thing that can take place could be dating people from your workplace, meeting your partners at your workplace. It could be maybe more so like sexual encounters as well at the workplace, people just being attracted to you at the workplace, or you guys feeling uncomfortable in this way at the workplace. And it's interesting because in matters of sexuality and these types of things, I find also in terms of like Plutonian scorpionic energy, what happens is like there was one point in time where you guys felt uncomfortable. So maybe when you guys were younger, you guys maybe started working at a job, and because you have this energy about you, right? Maybe somebody guys made you feel uncomfortable in this type of way. I'm trying not to mention certain words too many times, so you guys are gonna have to read between the lines. So let's say that happened one time. Well, now when you're older and you're working at your jobs, unconsciously, this is all happening unconsciously. So this is important to keep in mind. Unconsciously, you guys try to get ahead of the energy, so you guys might be the ones that are initiating things with other coworkers or colleagues, or somehow it ends up just happening somehow. Honestly, in the 9 to 5, especially corporate life, so many things happen in those offices. I've heard so many stories, but that's overall like that Pluto in the 6th house. You guys are going to be attracted to this. You guys are going to be attracted to like the taboo aspect of this. You guys might dream about it, like have these fantasies like, oh my gosh, like when this happens and that happens. And I'm just starting to laugh because I had a colleague once back in the day when I used to work in retail, and basically the colleague told me how they quote unquote like pushed someone into the change room, and like I guess they started like doing something. I have questioned through the years whether this story was true or not, or maybe just their fantasy, but regardless, very Plutonian in the 6th house. Whether it actually happened, Pluto in the 6th house, or whether it was like their own dream or fantasy, still Pluto in the 6th house. So that's kind of like the overall idea here with Pluto in the 6th house. Now also, because it is the 6th house, it is your work. You guys might do something secretive or taboo for work, or you guys might be secretive secretive about your work, even if it isn't something taboo. You guys might not tell people. People might always wonder, what do you guys do for work? Like, what's your job? Or you guys might have secret jobs or like secret jobs on the side. There's all of these types of things. You guys are hiding this particular area, but also taboo types of jobs. I'm not going to list all the taboo types of jobs. You guys are going to have to use your imagination for that one, but you guys are going to be very attracted to this particular area. Again, even if you're not actually engaging in it, you guys might think about it. You guys might dream about it. You might have fantasies about working in these taboo types of industries. So that's Pluto in the 6th house. Now, what I will say for this energy, eventually when it does evolve and it kind of goes through that whole pendulum swing of like this, and then it neutralizes in the middle, and it's kind of in that Phoenix rising state, I will say that this energy can be a very, very powerful healer. Now, which way and realm do you guys heal is going to depend on the rest of your natal chart, whether it is actually a doctor or a nurse, whether it is maybe some form of energy work or energy healer, whether it's through your words, through your expression, through whatever it is, okay? You guys might eventually come into that form of healing work. You guys might be interested in helping people change, helping people transform in this particular area as well. Now, because it is the house of daily routines and activities, you guys might try to control this for yourselves. You guys might be very particular about your routine. Maybe one thing throws you guys off. You guys go into this whole like downward spiral of like not knowing what to do with yourselves. I do feel like a lot of the time, especially with 6th house energy, their control stems from a form of abandonment wound. So it's like when something doesn't align with your schedule, or someone cancels, or a class gets canceled, your abandonment wound gets triggered. Sometimes the 6th house keeps themselves super, super busy to avoid that abandonment wound. Just my own observations, because it's like Plutonian energy is controlling, but also 6th house is controlling in its own way. 6th house is controlling in a sense where it's like it doesn't want you to get criticized. So this is why you guys might be perfectionists, but also you guys could change and transform through this area, because also like the ultimate end like goal or like end result for the 6th house overall, or like lesson to learn, I guess you can say, is like that perfection doesn't exist. So they spend a lot of their time, a lot of their effort, a lot of their energy to achieve some form of perfection, usually connected to the critical parents in the earlier part of your life. But eventually this energy is meant to master this particular area. That perfection doesn't exist, that sometimes you have to put things out there that aren't necessarily perfect. So that's another thing that this energy could struggle with, because Pluto wants power and control. So you guys might want to, let's say, put a project out there or something that maybe is going to bring you through power and control. A lot of the time in the current society that we're living in, it is money that equals power and control. So for you guys, you know, maybe you guys have some form of project you guys do or whatever it is. And again, it depends on the rest of your natal chart, but let's say you guys work on this project and you guys never end up putting it out there. Well, the whole thing here is probably it's not that ideal perfection image that you guys might have in your mind, and then you guys kind of don't end up putting it out there. But once again, you're meant to learn to just put things out there. Sometimes it's because of the fear of criticism, but in terms of criticism, the way that I see it at least is like, you can look at people who criticize your work or whatever you guys do as people who are helping you get to your end goal, because they're seeing the blind spots that you guys don't see. But in turn, you guys also struggle in this area because it's Pluto. So Pluto doesn't want to be weak. It doesn't want to come off like it doesn't know something. That's the whole struggle here. So it's like if someone catches a blind spot or criticizes you guys in a way where it's like you guys like thought you saw it and they catch it before you do, it like feels even more exposed, because Pluto doesn't want to be exposed. That's the whole thing here. But at the same time, it's also the most vulnerable in this particular area. So for you guys, it's the most vulnerable in the 6th house. So once again, that's why that Plutonian energy is trying to always like make sure that everything is in its place, like all the T's are crossed and then the I's are dotted. But through time, you guys will eventually learn that you have to relinquish this control. So that's that divine version of Pluto in the 6th house, is when you guys have kind of overcome this whole hurdle of like going through that pendulum swing and just realizing that a lot of things and most things in this life are really out of all of our control. There's not really too much that we can do about certain things. And for you guys, it is the area of health, healing, and being of service. So it could be, again, even the diets that you guys eat. It can really be any realm. It could be the realm of work, because it is the 6th house as well, your routine. And as Pluto goes through enough death and rebirth transformations, that pendulum swing, it eventually gets into that point of silent power. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's just exuding power in this particular area. It doesn't have to do anything. It doesn't have to say anything, almost unbothered. But it's not that the energy doesn't care. It just knows, right? It kind of gets to that divine form of like that Phoenix rising state that's kind of like really like, what's meant for me will come to me. And if it doesn't, it's not meant for me. And I'm not going to go out of my way to try to make these things happen where I have to work extra hard and you're kind of like pushing it away as you're trying to bring it closer to you. That's something huge that Plutonian Scorpionic energy struggles with. So it could be, once again, in the area of work for you guys, where it's like maybe there's a certain job or maybe there's a certain thing that you guys want and you guys are really trying to get it, and you're really like kind of going almost like in an ego driven type of way. And as you guys are really trying to force that thing to happen, while you guys are simultaneously pushing it away at the same time. Now, with that being said, in terms of manifestation, you do have to pair action along with your prayer, along with your manifestation, whatever you guys are trying to bring through. But you guys want to stay away from like the energetic undertones of it being controlling, of it coming from scarcity, of it coming from almost like a place of not trusting, because Pluto also does deal with trust. So it's kind of like the only example I can think of is like, let's say you guys apply to a job, well, just applying and letting the application be there. You've applied, the action is there, and you have now let it happen. Let go and let God is really the whole thing here. But the controlled version of this, or like that unhealed, unhealthy version, could be, I don't know, like you constantly checking the website to see if they've accepted you, or maybe emailing the people, or going into like the workplace. It could go into this energy because like honestly, Scorpio can go into kind of like the stalkerish vibe sometimes. So it could be this as well. But these are extreme versions and manifestations of the energy. Obviously, it might not happen to everyone. These are just examples that I'm giving you guys so you guys can understand how the energy works. But this is the overall idea. So with all that being said, I'm going to wrap up my video on Pluto in the 6th house. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.